Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. Let's get into that conversation like that I hinted on before going for a break. Yes, the car tracking system that was actually given to a private company from outside of Uganda, a Eurasian firm called Global Systems LLC, at the expense of the local companies that are also dealing with car tracking of vehicles and motorcycles. We have the chairman of that is GPS Telematics and IoT Association. That is Mr. Henry Katongole, and he joins us via Zoom. A very good morning, sir. How are you doing this beautiful Wednesday morning?
The morning is beautiful. Thank you, Romeo, for having me here.
Indeed, Henry, good to have you. But my viewers would first of all like to know about GPS Telematics and the IoT Association. What exactly do you do?
The GPS Telematics and IoT Association is an association that brings together GPS tracking companies in Uganda that offer services for motor vehicle and motorcycle tracking, among others.
Go ahead.
Yes.
How long has motor tracking as a service existed in this country, and what is it being used for, Henry?
These services have existed for over 2 decades now. And these services are being offered to various companies that span from financial, manufacturing, logistics, medical services, mention it. They are being used across the divide, and they are being used for various benefits that most of these companies accrue from these services. Some of the benefits, if you don't mind me mentioning them,
Go ahead.
Security, being able to lower operational costs, improvement of customer service, and improvement in operations, to mention but a few.
All right, Henry Katongole, we do know that in 2018 was a very, very bloody year. Even before that, the year before, 2017, we saw the AIGP, that is Mr. Kawesi, actually getting shot down by individuals who were using motorcycles. The following year, we saw the Arua Municipality MP, former Abiriga, also getting shot down. The same way, border cyclists were, as the assailants were using borders, and also the former Buyende police commander, that is Mr. Muhammad, also getting shot in the same way. So what we want to know right now is, what did you expect when the president actually came out to say we need to install tracking chips in every motorcycle and every vehicle? Did you see dollar signs falling at that point, Henry?
That's not the way I'm speaking on behalf of the members of the association, but that's not the way we thought about it. Actually, it was overdue, and the membership and the association are behind the president in this noble resolution to have this closed. We have had these security incidences, and we know GPS is one of the big solutions to them after the camera system. And we certainly believe in the idea of having and working with government to make sure that these crimes are actually sorted or mitigated before they actually happen. So we didn't look at the dollar signs per se, but we look at it from the angle of loss of lives, and we are behind the president and the government of Uganda on this matter.
Yes, Henry, I talked about dollar signs, trying to allude to the fact that maybe you would have gotten the contract that we are talking about now from the government, the same contract that was given to Global Systems LLC. That's when the money would have been coming in for GPS Telematics. That's what I'm trying to allude to. But now that the government has decided to give this contract to one company outside of Uganda, it means the dollar signs won't be coming in anytime soon. And even when, even the contribution that we want to give in terms of security, you won't be able to do the same because government is contracting a foreign firm, Eurasian Global Systems LLC. Don't you think you've been left out as the local firms dealing in the same?
I want to believe it's not too late. The government of Uganda is very strong on the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy. Even when the government takes a decision like this, we understand that it is still in its inception stages with procurement and project management preparations happening. And now that government is getting to know about the existence, it may not have known about the existence of these companies or the existence of this association, but we know that we have reached out to them already, And we believe that they will get back to us, and we should be able to find a way of working together on this project with a company that has been nominated.
Henry Katongole, you just gave me just some very, very, very good information. You just said you've been in business for 20 years, but then government doesn't know about your work. That's a big disappointment, Henry.
I wouldn't say so. The driving factor in this case is security, the security function. I will tell you for a fact that the membership of the association, the different members in this association, are actually providing services to government entities out there, from security, interestingly,
Yes.
to IGG's office, to
Indeed.
Electoral Commission, to different government, and government is paying for these services and has been paying
Yes,
for
Henry,
these services.
if you've been in this business for over 20 years and you've been even rendering services to the government, so how come on this very, very huge deal of 10 years, this contract was given to some other foreign firm, handpicked from outside Uganda? Aren't you worried that this is going to destroy this growing industry?
Well, I'm sure that's one of the reasons why we're here. The membership of the association, the members that are paying taxes, the companies that are paying taxes and are employing Ugandans are actually worried that they are going to lose business, they are going to have to downsize, they are going to have to close, and what it leads to is that there's going to be loss of revenue for government that it has been earning from corporation tax, from pay as you earn for a couple of years. But having said that, we know that now that government is being engaged by association, and we are engaging it already, we will be able to get a common ground. It is not too late. I know it for a fact.
What exactly do you mean, Henry, that it is not too late? Because what we do know that this has been sealed already. They've handpicked Eurasian firm Global Systems LLC. The contract is 10 years. This company wanted 15. Government zeroed in on 10 years, saying it was too lengthy for those 15 years, according to Jim Muhezi, Major General Jim Muhezi, the new security minister. And he also said government will be bagging only 30% from this deal for the first 4 years, and maybe after the 6th year, we shall be bagging 70% of the returns from that deal. Then the other company will be getting 30%. What do you make of this whole deal? Is it a good deal for the country? And also, where does that leave local players like yourself? Because it seems like you've been left in the dark and there's no going back.
I am not here to speak for government, and I don't think I'm competent enough to speak on whether this deal is good or bad. Like I said, I am here to represent the association.
Henry, we wanted to paint a picture that shows that maybe this other deal is not so good, and we should be focusing on the local firms to render these services.
Certainly, the ideal situation would have been for government to first look within, because every country develops based on its local resources. If you have competent resources internally, then when you use them, you're able to save a lot of more money, and the economies are able to grow.
Indeed.
So the ideal situation would have been for the local companies to be considered before. But now that has gone, we've gone past that stage. This is a very huge project.
Indeed.
You have cars and motorcycles all over the country. A company, whatever the size it is in this particular matter, cannot be able to pull it off very successfully without cooperating with the local companies, without subcontracting local companies that have the expertise and have been in this industry for some time. So that's why I am saying that it's not too late. Government will think about it. The company that has been nominated will also consider this, I believe, for purposes of pulling off a successful project of this magnitude.
But let's also talk about capacity, Henry Katongole. Do the local companies have the capacity to deal with the huge numbers of cars and motorcycles in this country? Essentially, I'm asking you how many car trucking companies are in Uganda and how many people do they employ?
Right now, there are approximately between 35 and 40 trucking companies in Uganda.
Yes, 45. How many people are being employed?
Pardon me?
How many people are these companies employing, and do they have the capacity to actually take on this project if government was to solicit local companies? Do they have the capacity, the employees, the manpower to go into all 149 or 146 plus districts within this country?
These companies combined are employing between 400 and 450 staff in diverse areas. And they have operations around the country. That is what is very interesting. So if there are any installations to be done in, for example, Mbarara, they have offices there. In Gulu, they have offices there. So they already have infrastructure set up in different parts of the country. And when it comes to project implementation, it's all carried out at a go.
All right, Henry Katongo, let's also talk about some individual interventions or ventures. If Romeo Busiku wanted to start a car tracking company, what would I need?
Okay, if you wanted to start a car tracking company right now, one, you need first of all to have the technical resource. The technical resource meaning knowing how it works, because this is technology. So first is the technical resource on how the technology works. Secondly, you need to identify what devices you're going to use, because we use GPS tracking devices, which communicate with the GPS satellites up in the sky. Number three, you need to incorporate with the Uganda Revenue Services, Uganda, the URSB, which registers companies in Uganda. You also need to register with NITA. You need a certificate from NITA. You also need to have registered with Uganda Revenue Authority so that you're able to pay your tax obligations. Then you need a team that is going to manage the business, amongst others.
It seems like the requirements are too many and too hard for many of our individuals who are grappling under this COVID-19 pandemic. How are they circumventing all those hurdles?
So that's why I say that this is a rather specialized industry, and those requirements I mentioned are met by the members of this association and have been met. And that's why they have been business for this long, because like you already know from the statistics, most Ugandan businesses close under 1 to 2 years. But if companies have managed to be here for over 2 decades, to mention, that means that they're really resilient, and these requirements have been met and are being met, and to the benefit of the government of Uganda in terms of taxes and giving of jobs to the Ugandan.
Yes, Henry Katongo, let's also talk about some privacy issues. We were talking to Fiona Wall, the president of Uganda Law Society, and she was saying, much as this is a good initiative, there could be some privacy concerns because privacy is a right being preserved within the Constitution.
Certainly, privacy comes in very, 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 very importantly. I would like to mention the way the members of the association do it is they sign contracts with each of their clients, and there are privacy clauses in there. And having said that, also the association binds the members to be able to maintain and keep this privacy aspect in check, that client information is actually not shared with any other parties. And this is ongoing. But for government, if I'm to just chip in for government, I'm sure there has to be an enabling law to make sure that not everybody would access this kind of information as and when, to use it for purposes that are not the required purposes for installment of this system.
But won't that make our citizens sitting ducks in that an unscrupulous person getting into the database of the government and getting to understand that person X is going to be at such a location at such a time, and then they are going to be targeted? Aren't you worried that this is going to be used by unscrupulous individuals, the data that we are going to be collecting on our people?
I want to believe that this system is going to be accessed by the security agencies. When you use the word unscrupulous, it might not come in here. But in the event that you're trying to refer to unscrupulous amongst the security agencies,
indeed, I'm
sure the law and the administrative mechanisms that will be set up by government will be able to take care of this. And they should be aware of the persons like us, the private citizens, who are affected by these unscrupulous persons using this information to be able to take them on in the courts of law.
You, as the proprietor of GPS Telematics, have you encountered a hacking situation with your company where individuals actually hack into your system?
I would like to correct you. I'm actually just the chairman of the association, not the proprietor, because it brings together different companies. But to answer your question, we have not experienced any incidents of that nature.
So what kind of safeguards do you put in place to ensure that hacking never happens? Or what can government do in that regard to ensure that hacking never happens?
That is what I refer to as technical expertise. There are different mechanisms in the technical speak that are used to mitigate against this kind of occurrences. First of all, there are things like firewalls that help prevent intrusion into systems. Secondly, there are algorithms that are also run. Third, there are checks in terms of I would call it procedure for access of information. And all these things come into play together to make sure that the data integrity is conserved and you don't have this data out there.
Henry Katongole, before I let you go, I still didn't get your suggestion on the government's intention to give this business to a single company. What is your overall perspective on this?
Well, I know it for a fact, and I will repeat it, that this is a very big project. It's going to be a very big project, and there has to be a great management and
Henry, I'll be honest with you. I expected you to be angry about the fact that we are giving this deal to another firm outside Uganda and not the local firms. So ideally, we thought that you would actually compel the government to look at the bad side of dealing with the foreign company so that we can actually locally source for these services.
No, certainly, I won't say that. We actually not feeling. We are actually not very happy. We are not happy for this to have happened. Make no mistake about it. But that is not to say that government has no right to choose within the law what they want to do. But when that happens, then they have to be called upon because they represent us, the people, and told that, look here, this can be done this way. And when they listen to us, the people, then they become a government of the people. So we have engaged government. We have engaged the Minister of Security. We have engaged the Minister of Internal Affairs. They have our communications, and we know they are going to call on us. We are in touch. All is not lost. And we know that at some stage, before this project implementation, the local companies, through the association, will be brought on board.
All right, before I let you go, Henry Katongole, what would you suggest the government do, yes, in regards to tracking moving forward?
Moving forward, they have already taken a decision on tracking, and what they are looking at specifically is security. Security for the Ugandans, security for the nationals. And going forward with technology is a solution to so many aspects of life now. So it's a good decision they have taken. It is now that we request that they get the local companies on board to work with the company they have chosen so that we can see a successful implementation of this project, and so that some of the money can stay within the economy to develop our country.
All right, wonderful insights by the chairman of GPS Telematics and the IoT Association, Mr. Henry Katongole. Thank you very much for having made the time to speak to Morning at NTV. He is highly optimistic. He says they'll be able to work with this company as the local stakeholders to ensure that they cover the whole country. 146 plus districts will be covered. All motor vehicles and motorcycles will be actually tracked in that regard to ensure absolute security within our country. But then the biggest nick is that unscrupulous individuals might tap into that data and be able to track other unsuspecting citizens. We need to keep our guard up when we actually veer into this new territory. Now we have Nigel, Othembi Frank. He is the director of Law Development Center. We're going to be talking about the high failure rates at the Law Development Center. Yes, that's a conversation that is coming up shortly after this.